Hey guys, what's up? My name is Armando, and I'm beyond excited to share about what I found. This is probably going to be like a short live, but I just wanted to share something. So, whenever we're running scrapers, let me just give you some context about this video. So, whenever we're running scrapers to get data from any county or any website, I don't want to say any brand, we probably may face a captcha, right? If they notice that we are requesting or visiting the same website or multiple links in a short period of time, they will probably throw captchas or they might block your IP address or something like that. So something that a lot of developers do is that they buy a pool of IP addresses and then they just rotate them, you know. But that pool, I mean, the bigger the pool, the more expensive it will be, and then you have to build the logic on how to be changing that IP address. So let me just share a little bit about some um, some options that people might use just to give you some context of the what the pricing will be if you were to take that path. Of course, we will not take that path, but let's just find some context. Okay, so let me go and find. There are a lot of service providers. I don't even know how to search them. So it's one per proxy, one per IP address. This is pretty expensive, right? Um, let's just find different websites. By I don't know what the pricing is. Let's go and find out. Why don't you just give them? Foxy instant proxies. I mean, it seems like you for $10 you will get 10 IP addresses. I mean, that's really expensive. That's per month, of course, and but you need way more than that. So you can be rotating between them. But something that I found is that by using the code, we can just make a tweak and just be rotating that IP address. So just to give you some context, I use my scrapers in Amazon Web Services and I create Lambdas. So Lambdas are serverless where you can run code without a server. And they assign you a random IP address based on the Amazon Web Services pool, which is like a huge thing, right? But the problem is that, and I will just give you some examples in a bit, but the overall problem is that they will assign you a pool, an IP address for that function or that piece of code, and then every time you run it, if you run it if you run it like sporadically, like every 15 or every 30 minutes, it will change the IP address. But if you're trying to scrape a website, you probably will send a lot of requests in a short period of time, right? So you need to do something to be changing that IP address or modifying something in the function so they assign you a different IP address every time you run it, so you can run in parallel a lot of scrapers, and each one of them will have a different IP address, or you can run them like in a linear way, but every time or on every step of the process it will be running a different IP address. So that's the goal for tonight. We'll jump into code in a bit. If you don't know how to code, don't worry, just send this video to your software developer and they will get a pretty good understanding of what I'm doing and why is this important. About the pricing, it seems like it loaded, so it can be pretty expensive, right? So for 600 per month, and they will give you how many IP addresses? Concurrent sessions, I mean unlimited, but traffic, I don't know how many different IP addresses they give you, but I don't want to waste too much time like looking at the alternatives because we have a freeway, right? So why should we pay for something like this? 25 proxies for monthly, yeah, like about $1 per IP address. So these can be really expensive because we usually consume a lot, but a lot of IP addresses. It will depend on the data that you're pulling, but since on our project we're pulling a lot of data, we need it. By the way, before we begin, if you're doing creative deals and you're not sending them to me, like, what are you doing? Please send me your creative deals in Texas or Atlanta or Florida, and I'll be happy to take them a look and see if we can buy them. All right, commercial ends. Perfect. Let's begin. Um, so I will build small functions just to give you like an overall understanding of what is the normal, and then how can we modify that so we can just be making requests, or the script will be visiting the website from different computers or different IP addresses. So in AWS, I'm using Lambda, and I have a lot of functions, but I will just create a new one and a simple one. Let us just give it a minute. Okay, perfect. I'm going to create one, and then real estate automations. And I'm using Python. You can use whatever. And then I will just use a role that I already have, but later in the video, I can show you how to create the role with the best or with the permissions required for this use case. So for the sake of time, I will just use the general that I have. I will create the function. And I just need the function to return the IP address from where this is like making the request, right? Um, let's do that. IP address. And Amazon has a link to get it. I'll just copy paste it. So requests get check ip.amazonaws.com, and then we just clean that. Let's just verify. Deploy and test it. We don't really care about this, but we need one. Test. We just need to name it and then save it. We run a test. Perfect. So this piece of code ran from this IP address. If we try that again, it will be running from the same IP address. So we want to change that, right? To be modifying that IP address every time it's running. Let me just add something or connect that to a link or website so we can use the browser, because it will be changing. So let's running from IP address. Let's deploy it. Make sure this works. Yeah, running from this IP address. You saw that I redeployed the function, or I made a modification and then redeployed the function, and that this changed the IP address because they threw the bucket away and then assigned me a new IP address. And that's a hint what we're going to do. So we will be, once we have the code ready, we will like package that and redeploy it each time. So it will be assigning a new IP address. and that's where the gold is. Um, Let me just get this ready. I need to add a trigger just to assign a URL. So I will use API gateway. Create a new one, HTTP. I want it to be open. This is like a super simple API. Perfect. So we have that link. If we open that, it will make a request to a function and it will return what I told it to return. So it returns running from the IP address that is running, right? So I'm making multiple requests and it's like performing the code with the same IP address. And that's what we want to change. Now, how can we do that? And it's quite simple, but it took me a long time to figure that out. We're going to use bot3 Lambda. This is an SDK for Python to like manipulate the lambdas, which is pretty good. And if we scroll down, these are all the available methods that we have. And the one that we really care about is update function code. So we want to modify the code. And by doing that, we can also assign to redeploy or to publish that piece of code. And then we will be ready to go. And the next time that we invoke that function, it will be running from the new deployment and so on, right? So let's click here and they give us like the basic structure that we need. So I'm going to copy this. We'll go to Lambda function. And let's assume that in here you have scraper code, right? Your specific scraper will be in here, like so don't worry about that. This is just a general like logic. I'm explaining the logic, but the scraper will be job of your software developer. I will copy this. This is from the website that I show you, and but we don't really need all of this. We'll need the function name, which is the ARN. We can delete this. There are multiple ways where you can upload the code. It can be a zip file from your local machine. It can be from an S3 bucket, which is the one that we will use. It can be the image URI, and that's it. So I will get rid of this. You can use object versioning for the code, but for the sake of this video, I will not use it. I will delete also the image URI, publish. We will publish that. Dry run means, let's go back and reference what dry run means. So it will validate the request parameters without modifying the code. Well, we don't really care about that. Revisions and architectures, we will just leave them as default, and that's it. This is pretty much what we need. We also need to go and create an S3 bucket. So I'll open my S3, and then we will just create a simple bucket. We don't really need much configuration. So we'll go to create bucket, and then real state automations. Please subscribe. So we just name it, block out public access. That's perfect. Versioning, that's up to you if you want it. I don't really care because this is like a test. This is not for production. This is for the video, of course. And then tags, encryption, you could enable it if you want it. object logged and everything. Don't worry about that. So we just create the bucket. No uppercase characters. Real estate automations. Let's go and create the bucket. And my bucket name is real estate automation. So we go to the code, and in S3 bucket, we'll add real estate automations. Um, After that, we need to upload the zip file with the code that they will the code that we will implement in the new version of the scraper or the function, right? So ideally, you will export the code when you have it ready or the scraper is in production, and then you export the zip file, and then you upload that into the bucket, and then we will just reference that zip file, right? So we will just prepare the name. So I will use test uh, function .zip. I will export the code, and then I will rename it before I upload it to the S3 bucket, right? It has to match this. This has to match the zip name, the zip file name. Let's just make sure that this is good. Let's deploy it. Perfect. So that's pretty much it. The next thing that we gotta do is to go to actions, export function, download the deployment package, and then we have it here. Let me just go and rename it. We need to rename it as the rename test function or whatever you decide in here. And then let's go to the buckets, open the bucket. We'll upload the zip file. Okay, perfect. We uploaded this. Upload. Perfect. So this is done. Then yeah, that's pretty much it. Let's go test it out. Internal server error. Let's see what happened. Client. Sorry about that. Let's go back and do it again. I forgot to add client. I need to add this. Import bottle tree, and then we need to define client, right? Because this is needed. So let's deploy that. And after we deploy that, we need to re-export the function. Every time we update the code, we'll have to do this. Of course, there are ways to automate this process, but I don't want to make this video too long. You can ask your software developer on how to do that. I will rename the file that I was downloaded, test function.zip. Let's delete this one. I mean, this will be good if you have like the object versioning, so I can just update the version, but I just wanted to delete that and upload into this bucket. I will add a file, test function, upload. Perfect. So in here is all the code with the scraper. Of course, there is no scraper in here, but there is this code in here. Let's test and see if it runs. Perfect. It's running from this IP address. And now from this one, like 31.78, it has to wait a few seconds, like 5 seconds, because it has to redeploy the function. So if you have to be aware of that, like a wait time. I will suggest that you use the simple queue service and just add a delay, like a 10 seconds delay every time you deploy that. Or yeah, so just add everything in a queue and just be deploying with that 10 seconds delay. So right now it's 5.5.161. Let's just give it 5 or 10 seconds. I will click that again and it should show a different IP address. If that works, that's pretty much it. In here, you can see that every time that we invoke the function, it will be running from different IP addresses. And that's that, my friend, I see. That's gold. Perfect. It's working. It's working. Um, I hope this helped you, and let me know how your bot journey is working out in your automations. If you have any ideas for more automations or things that you have any questions, just shoot them in the comments, and I'll be happy to help. And shout out to my Sub2 family. I'm always here to help, and let me know if there is anything where we can collaborate together. Right. Well, that's pretty much it. Let's take care of this. Take care, guys. Have a great night, and bye.